So I'm back. It's 2015. It's my first video of the year. And today I think I'm going to just do a bit of a talky video. I did quite a lot of tags last year. I actually did the same tag twice on one occasion. I was so into my tags. And although I think they're really fun to do, I think I want to do a few more videos where I just kind of sit down and talk. So yeah, that's how I'm going to start the year. So I'm going to start off by talking to you about my 2015 book and blog and sort of reading and writing resolutions. Bookish resolutions, as it were. The first thing that I want to start doing in 2015 is to be more open to not finishing books that I'm not enjoying. Although, last year I did give up on a few books that I wasn't enjoying. On the whole, I tried to kind of persevere, and I think that's why a lot of us end up in reading slumps, is because we're forcing ourselves to read things that we don't like, either because there's loads of hype about it, so we feel like we should be enjoying it, or we're reviewing it for a publisher, so we want to finish and be able to give a full review. But I don't think you're doing anyone any favours by forcing yourself to read a book that you're not enjoying. Well, me at least, because if I'm not enjoying a book, I just don't read it. I'll just do other things with my time, so then sort of a couple of weeks can go by and I'm still on the same book. Whereas I think it'd be much more productive if I give a book 50 pages, and if I'm not hooked by then, put it aside. There's too many books that I want to read for me to spend so much time on something that I'm not enjoying. And what's the point? It's not going to be a positive experience if I've slogged my way through a 300-page book and hated it. It's not going to be good for me, or the author I'm reviewing, or the publicist who sent me the book, or anybody involved. So, yeah. Number two, which sort of follows on from this one, is I want to start being a bit more subjective in my reviews, which is a weird thing to say because on the whole, reviews are 100% subjective anyway. But I think especially if I'm writing a negative review, I try to be as objective as possible. I try to sort of keep the target audience in mind, because often I'm not the target audience. If I'm reading, a young adult fantasy novel that's aimed at younger teens, I'm so far away from the target audience. I'm not a massive fantasy fan. I'm in my late 20s. I'm not who the book is written for. So I always try to keep the target audience in mind. And I often, if I negatively review a book, I'll often try to find good qualities to say about it, or mention other positive reviews I found and things like that, to try and be as positive as possible. I don't know where this constant desire for total positivity has come from. It's fine to not enjoy something, and I've always been really outspoken about that, so I don't know why lately I found myself almost quite pressured to be positive about things. I think it's totally fine to write a critical review and a totally negative review, as long as it's polite and it's talking about the book and not the author, and you can sort of back up what you're saying. I don't think there's any problem with a review that even completely slates the book. If you hated it and it made you angry and it really didn't work for you, say it. That's what we're, reviewing and blogging for, is for our opinions. And I think I've got a bit caught up in being a bit wishy-washy about my feelings. There's some books I reviewed last year where I was negative about them, but I almost feel like I was holding back because I was worried about, people being annoyed that I didn't like a book they liked, or there was so much drama last year with, authors and publishers, I think, on occasion being a bit iffy about bloggers writing negative reviews. I think a lot of us did start to hold back or just stop negatively reviewing books. And that's not a road I want to go down at all. The next resolution, which is to read a lot more widely. Every sort of resolution post that I've read so far, every video I've watched has mentioned this. So I think it's something everyone's trying to do. I think it's off the back of the We Need Diverse Books campaign. It's made us all more aware of what we're reading. So I want to read more widely, because I am a big contemporary fan, and I think I've fallen into the trap of reading 90% young adult contemporary books and not too much of anything else. And although I love contemporary, at the end of last year I was starting to get to the point that if I read one more young adult novel set in a high school, I just couldn't do it anymore. So I think to keep myself interested, I need to mix it up a bit and try genres that I don't read much of, like fantasy, sci-fi, things like that. I also want to read a lot more middle grade, because it's really booming at the moment, and I'm reading so many brilliant reviews and connecting with some lovely middle grade authors that it's something I really want to make an effort to do, because I don't know that much about middle grade. Even when I was that age, I didn't read much of it. I kind of went right from children's books to adult books, and I kind of bypassed young adult, even though I don't really think middle grade and young adult were around when I was younger, which makes me sound incredibly old, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah, so more genres, sort of different lengths, more diverse characters, middle grade and young adult. Maybe I'll even branch out into new adult, although probably not because we know I'm not a huge fan. Um, yeah, then my next two are also nicely linked together, and I want to do a bit more on social media this year because although I really like Twitter and Instagram and everything like that, I don't feel like I use them that much, which is really bad for a blogger because everyone else seems to just be on Twitter all the time. I don't understand. Every time I go on there, it just seems like every blogger I follow, it's just like tweeting and connecting with people and sharing things. And I don't know, I don't seem to do very well on Twitter. I'll kind of just tweet like once a day about what I'm eating or a picture of me walking with my dog or something really uninteresting. I just don't seem to have anything interesting to say. And if I don't know, so I'm going to try and tweet a lot more about what I'm reading. I also want to get into Instagram because my Instagram so far has been more dedicated to my other blog, which is a beauty and lifestyle blog. So it's been a lot more about kind of recipes and beauty and makeup, fashion, that kind of, I don't know, fashion really. I wouldn't really call the stuff on Instagram massively fashionable, but you know what I mean. I don't really focus that much on books, but I've seen some really beautiful Instagrams dedicated to books and people kind of stylize things really well, and a lot of the photography isn't even iPhone photography. I did not know this. I never knew how everyone got such amazing Instagram photos, and then I learned that people take them with professional cameras, edit them, and then put it on their iPhone. I didn't know this. Did everyone know this apart from me? Am I really dumb? But I had no idea. So I'm going to try and start actually Instagramming properly about the books I'm reading and kind of setting up photos nicely and just playing with photography a little bit more, because especially on my blog, on my book blog, the only photos that I ever really have in posts are book covers. I don't really experiment with photography for book related things, and I think that's a shame because I love photography and I obviously have to take loads of photos for my beauty blog. I really like editing photos. I like that whole process, so I don't know why I haven't done that on my book blog, so that's something I want to do. The last resolution I had on my list is writing related, and it is to send my book out to some agents. And I talked quite a lot about this last year on my blog, but I don't really think I've talked about it much in videos. But I finished my book last year. It's the third book I've written, but the first book I finished that I really feel like is kind of up to scratch. It's the first one I feel comfortable approaching agents with. The other two, I really enjoyed writing them and I learned a lot, but they're definitely shelved for now and I'd like to go back to them at some point. But this I feel like is the one. So I have finished it and I've got another edit to do, maybe two, depending on what my critique groups say, but hopefully only one. But I'm really enjoying the process. I'm really excited about sort of sending it out to agents and getting feedback and becoming a real writer by getting my first rejection letters. It's just really fun and I'm just really enjoying every stage of the process and not rushing it and sort of not feeling under pressure. There was a time a couple of years ago where I really was trying to force myself to get things finished and get something sent out, and it wasn't working and I knew it wasn't the right time, but I was rushing and I wanted to get it out and I was being impatient, and I'm really glad that I waited because now I feel much more kind of sorted as a writer and I know the direction I want to go in, and I feel like my style's improved so much in the last couple of years. Yeah, and I just feel like I know there are a lot of fantastic young writers, but I feel like for me, getting some life experience really improved my writing and learning a bit more about the business side of things, because I really love the business side of it as well, and I'm really interested in that, and just sort of growing in all areas of my life and working on my writing and trying different projects and things like that. I now sort of am feeling like I'm ready. yeah, so that's something I'd like to do in the first quarter of the year. So that's all from me. I'm sorry this talkie video is so long. I have like 25 minutes of footage. So I'm going to go and edit it now, and I don't know how long it will be when I finish, but I'll try not to make it drag out too long. I hope you liked this sort of new style of video from me. I've really enjoyed this. It's really fun to just sit here and talk. So yeah, expect more of that from me in 2015. And I hope you all had a really nice Christmas and New Year, even though it seems like it's worlds away now. And yeah, I'll be back in 2 weeks with another video. So